Hey, Bills Mafia, what is up? It is game day, last game of the season. The Bills will probably be the number 7 seed in the AFC playoffs. That's okay. We pretty much knew they were going to have to win 3 on the road once they dropped the division. Today's the last game at Highmark Stadium, the old Highmark Stadium, because the new one's going to be called Highmark Stadium also. But the last game at the old Highmark Stadium, and a lot of people and I'm just an aside, the Jets, they're playing the Jets today. I don't care who they play, they're gonna kill the Jets, okay? Since Trubisky is playing, I'm gonna say 24-7. How about that? So, anyway, that being said, a lot of people have been talking about their memories of Highmark Stadium, and I gotta tell you, I was born and raised in Buffalo, been watching the Bills, been rooting for the Bills since I was 11 years old. Back in 1980 when the Dolphins lost for the first time in a decade to the Bills. But my thing is, like I said, a lot of people have been giving their memories of Highmark Stadium. I've only ever attended one game at that stadium, and because I was not fortunate enough to grow up to where I had the ability to do it, and even when I became an adult, it didn't work out that way for the most part, except for that one game. There was a game, and the year was, I believe it was 1998, and it was against the Jets. It was a cold, miserable day. The Bills lost the game. That's all I remember, except for the fact that I got to go with my father. God rest his soul. One of those times where, you don't get a lot of those moments with a parent, but I got one of those moments with my father, and came out of the game, and I had a flat tire. And I was never fortunate enough to grow up to where my father was able to teach me how to change a tire, really, until that day. And it wasn't like this big memory of, the Bills did this, the Bills did that, but it was one of those moments in my life that I'll remember just because it was a core memory when it came to my dad, and my time with him. That being said, it's something to see a moment pass like that. You're going to see different stadiums come and go. Buffalo's is not an iconic stadium in terms of its structure, but it's iconic in terms of the way people think about it in the NFL, because it is one of the older stadiums, and it's one of the great places to play in terms of the atmosphere. And that's why people around the NFL talk about that stadium. But that stadium's going to go. Soldier Field is going to go, even though they remodeled it heavily, but it's still Soldier Field. Word has it, apparently the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be gone. Their stadium is about 2 years older than Buffalo Stadium, and they're moving to a brand new stadium. So these older stadiums are going by the wayside, and different generations are going to have their different core memories of going to the stadium, blah blah blah. But you gotta know that some of these older stadiums, there's memories that you can't buy. And I think with the newer stadiums, they do lend themselves, and don't get me wrong, love the looks of these new stadiums, but they give corporate vibes, and they're not someplace where you're going to talk about the atmosphere of the stadium and blah blah blah. you're going to talk about going to the game. You went to a game at this stadium and you had a great time, but there's something about, and yes, I'm showing my age in terms of how I'm talking right now, but there's something about doing things at a place that is old, at a place that has a history, at a place where things began, and weren't built for corporate benefit, for money benefit. There's something about those places, and when they're gone, it's sad. But it does give us a chance to create new memories. It does, just like anything else. When your old home, the one that you were born in, you go back and it's gone, there's a chance for people to create new memories there. There's a chance for people to create new memories at these new stadiums, and hopefully they will. Hopefully there will be some, wedding proposals at the stadium, or, in Buffalo's case, I love the fact that they kept it open air, so they're going to have some element of weather, because that's Buffalo. There are some cities, Buffalo, Green Bay, Cleveland, Chicago. You look at those cities and you go, the weather games. Chicago won't have that anymore. Kansas City won't have it anymore because they're building dome stadiums. But Buffalo will, and I'm glad about that, because you're probably going to get to see a little bit of it, although they've tried to minimize the effect. While keeping it outdoors, they've tried to minimize the effect. It's a little odd, but hey, you do what you have to do as a company, which is what the Bills are. I gotta tell you, I'm going to miss watching the games with that stadium, watching the people enjoy themselves at that stadium. But hopefully the Bills will create a lot of memories there. Hopefully they'll be able to create some championship memories there. But no matter what happens, no matter where the stadium is, as long as they are the Buffalo Bills, we will always say,